My name is Mark Harrison. I'm the Cloud Solutions Manager. So my team looks after co-location, private cloud solutions, dedicated server solutions. We have a multi-tenanted private cloud as well, and Azure hyperscale cloud. We also cover Citrix, Horizon, various other applications that sit around that side of things. But work closely with Paul and Mark on the network and collaboration side as well. I'm going to go through our cloud workspace solution with this afternoon, which hopefully might spark some interest. Right, so the cloud workspace solution is about desktop and application presentation within a managed service, accessible from the internet and from HSCN, or from HSCN. So we're using the hyperscale public cloud in Azure to deliver the compute layer and deliver scalable pricing. We have built this VDI solution with the thought that it can be of use for the HSCN transformation that's coming over the next couple of years. Because we're using Azure, the environment can scale up and scale down, and you only pay for what you use. That's one of the benefits of hyperscale cloud. If you're looking to move services into Azure, quite often you'll be put off by the price. But if you're only paying for it when you're using it, then that can have significant changes in the return on investment, the total cost of ownership of a service. This environment leverages Citrix Cloud, which is a platform as a service solution, delivering all of the services you normally expect from a Citrix deployment of VDI. I've put in VDI solutions for customers in the past, and a minimum of 13 servers is required to deliver a high availability solution. With the cost of each of those servers, the compute, the resource, the licensing, with Citrix Cloud, Citrix has done that. They're delivering that as a platform for you to use for your internet connection in. That is on a basis where you can scale up and scale down. So it's a 12-month commitment. You specify how many users you've got, and at the end of the 12 months you increase it. If you've gone over the number of users you said you'd have, it's not until the end of the 12-month period you go up, or you can go down. It's totally flexible in that respect. We can deliver role-based access with single sign-on, where there's a number of different add-ons that we can put onto the very basic elements of the service, which, because we're treating them as add-ons, it comes in at quite a compelling price point as well. One of the reasons we've picked Citrix is the fact that there is a web interface and there are multiple different workspace clients. If you come across Citrix before, it was called the receiver before, now it's a workspace client, and that is supported on Android, iOS for Macs and iPhones. There's a web browser version, so you can use it on Chrome OS. It supports Windows, it supports Mac, so it supports all the different endpoints. And those endpoints don't have to be managed by the organisation. So it's an enabler for bring your own device. In every organisation, people want to use their own device. I can name one of the speakers here, he uses his own device a lot, rather than the corporate devices. It can give you secure access to legacy applications. So the principles that were outlined in Mark Hall's speech earlier on were about building API-based interface so you can access your data. You're not going to be there straight away. You're not going to go back and have a three-week sprint to get to that stage. You're going to have legacy apps. You may have had them for a lot of years already, and it's going to take a number of years to get off them. So this is can give you a bridge to that. If there were any ISVs here, they'd have to redevelop their applications to make them internet friendly, to put in the layers of web services and the web interface to deliver their applications. This again gives them a bridging point. It can extend the support for end-of-life applications. I'm sure in your organisations you will have at least one application that will only run on one version of the operating system and won't run on any others, or it may be tied into a specific version of Java, which is no longer supported. This solution, particularly in line with Azure, will allow you to extend the life of those end-of-life applications. It will cover it a little bit later on, but Microsoft is offering an additional 3 years of support on Windows Server 2008 and the other Longhorn-based operating systems if they're running in Azure for free. You can buy extended support beyond the 14th of January, but it will cost you a considerable percentage of what the original purchase cost was of those licenses. And as I say, it will bridge the gap between HSCN and Internet First. Your application will be internet accessible. You can get access out to applications that are on the internet. One of the principles is don't assume that every customer has internet access as part of the HSCN changes. This can deliver those applications and that accessibility over the internet. So before I got into use cases, what are the business outcomes of VDI? It gives you a standardized desktop. It should improve the user experience and the productivity, because if you have multiple GP practices and you have GPs moving between practices, then that GP can go onto any machine, connect back to their desktop with their profile, their files, set up with their internet, their favourites in Internet Explorer or whichever browser, and they have a consistency of that experience. So rather than arriving somewhere, trying to find a login, trying to get onto the device, trying to work, carrying files around on memory sticks as people used to do, they have that consistent experience. It should reduce the effort expended on an operational basis running the desktop estate. It will bring not only the consistency, but the value that delivers into your organisation, whatever your organisation challenges are. We've got some use cases around here. I'll briefly go through them. We can deliver it internet facing only with HSE applications on the VDI desktop. We can deliver that as a full desktop to the users so they have their full environment, or we can deliver it as an individual application. So just the window within that application is delivered to any endpoint. It's secure because the data doesn't leak beyond that. They're just presented with the contents of the window. That can have an impact on complex application access with latency constraints. It can solve those latency issues because the application is closer to the application or data tier. That can reduce the latency issues because the desktop that's hosted, or the application that's hosted, is on the HSCN network. You don't have to find your way back into the HSCN network, and it creates that security and data boundary. If you have users on the HSCN network that need access to internet-hosted applications, then you can do that as well. So you can come in from the internet, or you can come in from the HSCN, and you can break out either way. And you can mix the two up. So users both on the internet and HSCN need access to legacy client applications with HSCN backends or internet backends. You can do that by layering up the presentation. You can deliver a Windows or Linux application through to a Windows or Linux desktop with Citrix. The application may be running on Windows Server 2008 R2 because that's the compatibility of that. But the desktop you present is Windows 10 desktop. So even though that application won't run on Windows 10, it will appear to the user as if it will. And you can do full integration into the start menu and things like that, so the user doesn't even know it's presented to them. So this does deliver lots of different options on here. As mentioned, Server 2008 R2 goes end of life on the 14th of January. Not only can you continue using the servers and delivering the applications, but if you have a challenging task to refresh your Windows 7 desktops, replace with Windows 10, you can just present the user with a Windows 10 desktop on the HSCN network. They connect onto that. The data boundary is in place. They are using Windows 10. If you're delivering training to users who are about to move to Windows 10, you can give them access to Windows 10 desktop. They can get familiar with it. So there's a lot of flexibility and options around this. As I mentioned, standardized desktop requirements, faster recovery from malware incidents. If we are delivering, let's say, 1,000 users with a Windows 10 desktop, that all has a root in one golden image. So we create a virtual machine, which has the applications on it that we want. It is in the right location we want. We test it. We think this is good to go for users. And then we want to scale that out. What we do is we take a copy of that virtual machine, and all the virtual machines that users connect to is a direct copy of that. If you have a user who is foolhardy enough to respond to a phishing attack, and you get malware on those desktops, and it spreads around, lots of people are clicking on it, then you find yourself with a huge job of endpoints that users are using that are spread all around the organisation. It might be across a number of different sites. If you want to cleanse that in a VDI environment, so long as it hasn't spread into profiles and onto file servers and things like that, you just refresh all of the virtual machines from that golden image, because the golden image is sealed. It's not being affected by this. It's a virtual machine that's switched off. It's a template. So you can refresh it and you can recover from that and deliver a new service out to the users quite quickly. Obviously, the real world is slightly more nuanced than that. The malware may have spread elsewhere, but at least you know that bit's covered. You know, because it's very manpower intensive to resolve those issues. Where you've got SaaS applications as well, and you're accessing from HSCN, you've got the likes of the A&M service that gives you access out to the internet, but equally, you may choose to use an express route, want to access your Office 365 applications over an express route. Only about 40% of access into those applications can be done over an express route. And you might find that because of the extensive use of content delivery networks around Office 365 and other SaaS applications, that half of your traffic is going up one leg, half your traffic is going up another one. And it's quite difficult to manage that. With a VDI solution based in Azure, you have your desktop is very close to the Azure services in terms of it's on Microsoft's network already, and you can deliver those applications, particularly if you're in the transformation stage as well. So there are lots of different uses. There are business benefits, but you'll all have your organisation challenges that are individual. And we can talk about those either now or in a breakout session later on, and see if a cloud workspace can help you with those. It won't help you with all of them. It definitely isn't a magic wand. It does have some basic principles of benefits it'll deliver, and it's all about case by case. What are your organisational challenges, and how could this help you? So what's the architecture on this? I mentioned earlier on Citrix Cloud, that it delivers access control and management layers of this service. So the end user connects into a gateway, and they request a desktop, or they request a session on a multi-session server, and the Citrix Cloud is connected into the Azure APIs. It can spin up another server. It can manage the load. It's got an agent within that session that reports back about how busy each server is, and it can grow the service on demand. You can set limits on that so it doesn't go too big. You've got an awful lot of control over it. You can base it not only on, well, I want 10 users per session host, but you can say, when we get into about 70% CPU utilization and 80% memory, then spin another server up. Or in a pure VDI solution, we've got one virtual machine running Windows 7 and one user. You can be 2, 3 servers ahead if you want, or just in time. It is quite quick for provisioning on Azure. Your reporting's in there, so you've got your dashboard, you've got your database, you've got your user authentication coming out of Citrix Cloud. And then that connects back to the virtual desktop. All of the traffic goes through Citrix Cloud to the virtual desktop. But the attack surface on your scalable VDI service is 0, because there is no connection in from Citrix Cloud to this Azure VDI itself. It's a connection outbound. So there's a proxy server sitting in here that connects out to there. So it's really secure in that respect. The only way in is through here. So you've got to do your usual user authentication controls and making sure accounts are closed out, passwords are complex and things like that. We can also integrate multiple multi-factor authentication providers into there. So you can add that extra layer of security into access into these environments without having this operating system here able to support it. You don't have to make GINA changes and things like that to support MFA. It all happens up at the Citrix level. If we put single sign-on in there, then a single sign-on can travel all the way through into the applications. That's for an internet accessed service. If we're looking at service access from the HSCN, obviously you don't want to be breaking out the HSCN to go to the gateway here to get access to your virtual desktops. All we need to do is add a couple of Citrix gateways as virtual appliances into Azure, put them at the end of an express route that's going back to a firewall that's on the HSCN network, and the users can connect in from here up into the same virtual desktop environment, continuing that consistency of experience for the users. They've got a separate route in, the HDX and ICA protocols, which deliver the screen and the keyboard and the mouse movement through to the virtual desktop. And that's the protocol break. It also is your data boundary. So if somebody's editing a file, it doesn't actually make it out onto the internet anywhere, they're editing it here. They can't download the files unless you let them. So you can maintain those data boundaries. You can control through the firewall what services users have access to. So obviously RedCentric offers the Azure services and the Citrix services and the connectivity and firewall services on there. So on that basis, we can deliver you the fully managed service from RedCentric to provide these services through to you. And it isn't just HSN at the back end. I'm sure you've already spoken to Mark about SD-WAN, I'm assuming. So there's the SD-WAN implementations. There, Janet, if you want Janet on there, there's any reason for that. So it's any of those network services could be at the back end here. So how do we deliver it? We've already said Citrix is in there. That provides the security, the end user experience, the consistency of their desktop. We also layer in the FS Logic tools as well. That encapsulates a profile and makes log-on experience much faster. It also increases the performance generally within sessions because the profile's encapsulated in one file, which is quicker than accessing a couple of thousand files as part of every logon. And it speeds up group policy processing as well as loading your profile. The good news is that Microsoft recognised this and they've bought FS Logic, so FS Logic is now free, as long as you've got RDS licenses, which you need for Citrix. So FS Logic is in there for the performance and optimization. Azure is delivering the scalability, and the fact that it's pay-as-you-go gives you the affordability there as well. You can make a commitment to reserved instances, and thankfully reserved instances are subtracted off your bill at the end of the month. Your consumption at the end of the month before it hits billing. So if you're running up to 70 virtual machines, but on average over a month, day and night, there's only about 12 virtual machines on, you buy 12 reserved instances and that gets subtracted off and your consumption is virtually free then. We've done the RedCentric reference design. So we've already designed this, we've already deployed this, we've already done proof of concept testing on it. So that's the simplicity of delivery. So it can be quite quick to deliver this service. Take into account your requirements. We can modify the service to do that. We're not offering a PaaS, we're offering a solution just for you, just for your organisational challenges. And obviously connectivity is key to it, and that is where you've already spoken to Mark about that. RedCentric network and security solutions give you that connectivity into there. And so all in all, we should be delivering something that offers solutions to your business challenges, improves efficiency, improves the user experience.
One question I would have is, you mentioned about how you can access the Citrix desktop from loads of different kinds of endpoints, or Android, or...
Yes, yeah.
And you mentioned about how you could also access it via the browser. Does that require like an add-on or something within the browser, or is that purely within the browser?
It's a HTML5 client. Okay. So as long as the browser is HTML5 compliant, then you can launch that receiver. You make it can either be in the browser window or you can make the browser full screen, and you can create the full desktop experience there. It does mean that it does extend it to being accessible from all kinds of different devices. HTML is fairly ubiquitous now. So it's the HTML5 browser that does that.
Can you imagine that you've got your client device, I've got my laptop.
Yeah.
I connect into my Citrix desktop. Can I place restrictions or have it available for the user to be able to get out of their Citrix virtual desktop onto their laptop effectively, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
A USB would be not, you know, so stick a USB, I can connect to the USB from the Citrix.
Yes, it supports USB redirection. So
I can also say no to that.
You can say no to that, yeah, so that's in your Citrix policy. So you can say, we do or do not support device redirection. These are the devices we do support. So if you have a card reader, for example, then you can support specific models of card reader. There's a local printer, that's generally okay. You might want to combine that with rights management on your files, because you are creating a data boundary here, so that you don't want the data to leak out. So USB memory sticks, you probably don't want to support them for USB redirection. But Citrix relies on both group policy and Citrix policy. Citrix policy does everything that group policy doesn't do, and device redirection is one of those things, yeah.
And I don't get very specific, and I would be able to do that, let's say, based on the device's access. So if someone thinks access it via the HTML5 client, which
Yeah.
could be almost anywhere, I might be like, no. But if I'm checking and it's, the desktop page, I'll do that.
Yeah, so you've got a gateway here. It's a fairly simplistic gateway. If you wanted to have some checking of the client itself and have policies around that, then you would put the Citrix gateway here in the cloud environment, and the user would connect directly into there, and it would still use the control layer to control the whole environment from Citrix Cloud. But on that Citrix gateway, you could then say, right, I'm going to have policies on these clients. So some of the more advanced features you can have is when a client connects in, the Citrix receiver will report some information back about that client with the workspace agent. The workspace agent will report things like, does it have antivirus installed? Is it up to date? Is it one of these specific antivirus agents that I want? Is it a domain join? So it's only corporate machines that are joined to specific domains. Does it have a certificate that I've pushed out to it? And you can put complex policies in to actually control that. And based on the output of those policies, you can either allow them access, but restricted. Let's say from the organisation device that's on the domain, then they can access a desktop and they actually get a workspace, they get a menu of what they want to use. They can get full desktop, or they can access applications directly. However, if it's a bring your own device, so it's not a recognised device, it doesn't have antivirus on it, then they only get the desktop. So there is also AAA, which you can put on top of it, which is a VPN that runs alongside. So you could allow a device that you know to have access into certain parts of your network, such as antivirus updates from an on-premise AV service. So it can get its AV updates. It might be able to connect to Active Directory, so it can use or self-service password reset resources, so users can maintain their account to do self-service and things like that. You can run that in parallel to the Citrix ICA session, but that wouldn't be supported with the free gateway. That you would have to run a couple of extra virtual machines in there, internet facing. I think that answers your question, yeah?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, great. Any other questions that have cropped up? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time then.